In the heart of King David's palace, where power and wealth overflowed, a dark shadow began to creep, one of forbidden desires and betrayal. This is the tragic story of Amnon, Tamar, and the devastating consequences of unchecked sin. Long before this tragedy unfolded, King David had married several wives. One of them was Ahinoam of Jezreel, a wealthy woman David met during his time as a fugitive, fleeing from King Saul. Ahinoam became one of David's wives after he established his own following, and in time she bore him his firstborn son, Amnon. As the king's eldest, Amnon was in line to inherit the throne, destined for greatness. Yet despite his privileged position, his heart became consumed by a dark obsession. Amnon was restless. He paced back and forth in his lavish chamber, his face troubled. Though he had everything at his feet, his thoughts were tormented by an uncontrollable desire: his half-sister Tamar. She was beautiful, virtuous, and kind, and her very presence consumed his thoughts. Unable to bear his torment, Amnon confided in his cousin Jonadab, a cunning and sly man.
"Why are you, the king's son, so distressed?"
Jonadab asked, his tone dripping with false concern. Amnon groaned, his face in his hands.
"I am lovesick for Tamar, my sister."
A smirk spread across Jonadab's face. He leaned closer and whispered,
"Why should you suffer when you can get what you want? Pretend to be ill. When your father comes to see you, ask him to send Tamar to take care of you. That way, you'll have her alone."
The plan was wicked, but Amnon, blinded by his desires, embraced it eagerly. Days later, the palace was abuzz with news of Amnon's sudden illness. When King David came to visit his son, Amnon, lying on his silk-draped bed, weakly requested,
"Father, let Tamar come and prepare food for me here. Her presence will comfort me."
Unaware of Amnon's true intentions, David agreed and sent Tamar to her brother's chambers. Tamar entered, carrying a tray of food. Her face was full of concern, her heart pure.
"Brother Amnon, eat and regain your strength,"
she said gently, placing the tray before him. But Amnon, with a voice heavy with false weakness, said,
"No, Tamar. Bring the food to my bedside, so I can eat from your hands."
Tamar, unaware of the trap, approached him. The moment she was close enough, Amnon's demeanor changed. He grabbed her wrist, his eyes dark with intent. Shocked, Tamar struggled and pleaded,
"No, my brother, do not force me. Such a thing is not done in Israel. It is wicked. Please speak to the king. He will not withhold me from you."
But Amnon was consumed. He ignored her cries and committed a grievous sin. In that moment, what he had once called love twisted into something vile. Afterward, Amnon's desire turned to hatred. His voice, now cold and cruel, cut through the silence.
"Get up and leave."
Tamar, tears streaming down her face, pleaded,
"Sending me away is worse than what you have already done to me."
But Amnon's heart was hardened. He called his servant and commanded,
"Throw her out and bolt the door behind her."
The servant dragged Tamar out. She tore her royal robe and poured ashes on her head, a symbol of her grief and shame. As she wept bitterly, she fled to her brother Absalom's house. When Absalom saw her, his heart broke.
"Has Amnon, your brother, been with you?"
he asked softly. Tamar nodded, unable to speak. Absalom held her close and said,
"Be silent for now, my sister. He is your brother. Do not take this to heart."
But inside, Absalom's heart burned with rage. He comforted Tamar and kept her in his home, but from that day he began plotting his revenge. King David learned of what had happened and was furious, but he took no action against Amnon. Perhaps it was his love for his firstborn son, or perhaps guilt from his own past sins, but his silence echoed loudly through the palace. 2 years passed and Absalom's plan unfolded. He invited all the king's sons to a grand feast, held in the lush countryside. Amnon, unsuspecting, arrived with the others. The music played, the wine flowed, and laughter filled the air. But Absalom, with cold precision, gave the order to his servants.
When Amnon is merry with wine, strike him down. Do not be afraid, for I have commanded you.
The servants obeyed. Amnon was killed at the feast, and chaos erupted. The other princes fled back to Jerusalem, fearing for their lives. When King David heard the news, he tore his robes in anguish and mourned deeply for his sons. One dead, another exiled. Absalom fled, leaving behind a fractured family and a kingdom weighed down by grief. The story of Amnon and Tamar is a chilling reminder of how unchecked desires, poor counsel, and inaction can lead to destruction. Despite being the son of a great king, Amnon allowed bad advice and reckless passion to ruin his life. In the house of David, betrayal and pain took root, leaving wounds that would never heal. And so, the tale ends not with triumph but with sorrow, a warning to us all about the devastating consequences of sin.
Do not miss out on the powerful lessons and inspiring stories we have in store, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Follow us for more captivating Bible adventures that will strengthen your faith and uplift your heart. Hit that subscribe button and join the Bible Storytime family today.